guys, it is April from Getting Hygge With It. Today I wanted to do the For the Love of Classics book tag. Now I was tagged by Kate Howe. If you haven't seen her video for this tag, I'm telling you, you must go and watch it. I got so many new book recommendations just from that one video. It was kind of crazy. So go and watch that video for sure. But these are my answers to the tag. The first question is, why do you read classics and how often do you read classics? I definitely do not read classics enough anymore. I just seem to be reaching for newer books, and I do think that there's something lacking there. So I definitely am aiming to read more classics. I want to read at least one a season. I definitely reached for them because not only have they obviously stood the test of time, but they also really help to give you some context in history. Like, it's all well and good to read a history book to get a glimpse of what was going on in a certain period of time, but when you read the books that were written at those times, you can really get a wonderful sense of what was really happening. Number 2, what is a period, country, or culture that you haven't read many classics from and would like to? For me, I have never read any Russian literature. Now, the problem that I'm facing with this issue is that I don't really want to read Anna Karenina. I know that it's like a beast of a novel and I actually have no idea where to start. So if you have any recommendations of where to start with Russian literature, please help me. Number 3, which modern book do you think will be a classic in 100 years' time? For this, I would definitely pick Homegoing. I keep talking about this book and there's a reason for it. This follows the storyline of two sisters in Africa. One of them marries a slave trader and the other is sold into slavery and shipped to America. And each chapter follows the next generation from these lines of sisters. And it is so well written. You connect with all of the characters. They are beautifully written and have so much depth. And it's also an incredibly heartbreaking read. So I really hope that this does become a classic. I think it deserves it. And I think this would be a really good book to read in high schools and universities and colleges. Number 4, what was the last classic you read? I think the last classic that I read was I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. This story follows the last man on Earth and how he's basically trying to fight to survive. By day, he goes out and stakes out where all the vampires are living and tries to kill them all, as many as he can. And then at night, he just stays at home and they're like calling out to him and want to eat him. And it's scary. Honestly, it was great. I loved that read. Number 5, what was the first classic you ever read? I think that the first classic I ever read was The Outsiders, which is like about this group of boys that are in a bit of a gang. And I read that in like grade 8. It was so long ago that I can barely remember it. But I remember really enjoying it and being really hooked. I kind of like that that was my intro to classics instead of like, here's Shakespeare, which I feel like is a lot to absorb if that's your first intro. Number 6, what is your favorite classic book cover? Okay, so I really love the vintage versions of all of the Jane Austen novels. I think those are so beautiful and I would love to have those in my collection. Sadly, I don't have any of those. But my Pride and Prejudice that I just recently got, I would say is my favorite cover. It's really beautiful. Number 7, classic authors you wish had written more books. Oh my gosh, so many. So many. Why did people die so young back in the day? God, medicine and all that stuff. So I would say, okay, I have 3. First is Jane Austen. I think she died at 41. And we got a few novels from her, which I appreciate, and I plan to read all of them. But yeah, apparently there starting to think that she might have died from arsenic poisoning, and like not intentional, like someone didn't try to, you know, poison Jane Austen, but apparently it used to be in, you know, the water supply. So that could be the reason that we lost Jane Austen so early. But I wish that she had written more. I wish that Oscar Wilde had written more. I love Oscar Wilde. I think he's great and so brave and sassy, and I just love him. And then the other person that I wish we had more from was Zora Neale Hurston. And oh, that whole story, you know, breaks my heart. She wrote Their Eyes Were Watching God, and she wrote an autobiography, and I think she wrote a couple more books. But yeah, she kind of fell off the face of the earth. Number 8, least favorite classic, Moby Dick. I don't need to read that much about rope. Who cares about the whale? Let the whale live. Come on, let the whale live. Number 9, favorite translated classic. Sadly, I don't think I have one because I don't think I've read a lot of translated classics. So clearly I need some help. Like I need to either read some like French novels or Russian. Number 10, favorite modern classic published after 1900. And this is definitely Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Oh, so good. This follows a woman named Janie who goes and lives in the first free black town. It follows her love affair with a man named Tea Cake, and their love is, you know, wildly passionate, both good and bad. Number 11, classic literary places you would like to visit. I have to say, essentially England. Maybe Brighton would be a good place to start. I've already been to Washington Square in New York, so I'm glad I've got that ticked off of my list. But yeah, I would have to say just all of England. Number 12, first classic you would recommend for a child. I would definitely recommend The Little Princess. It's such a sweet, sweet story. I read this for a children's literature course at Queen's and I absolutely loved it. It's about a little girl whose father goes to war and she has to stay at this home for girls. And she's very, very rich. And then her father dies and she has no one. And so they decide to keep her, but they decide that she should just be the help now. So she goes from living in the lap of luxury to now serving all of the other girls that she used to be friends with. It's heartbreaking in moments, but Sarah has so much strength and it's just a really lovely story. I love it. Number 13, classics you think are mistitled, and what would you title them? Oh, okay. That is hard. Okay, so maybe for like Wuthering Heights, like The Brooding Bachelor, because Heathcliff is just broody and boorish, and yeah, that's what I would do. The Brooding Bachelor. Number 14, your favorite classic you'd like to recommend to everyone. For that, I would say A Handmaid's Tale. Now, I know this is a new classic, but especially right now in these times, I just think this story is really important. It's a dystopian book about a time where women are essentially used exclusively for their reproductive purposes and they have no rights, and it follows a woman who's in this situation. It's so well written and I haven't read it in at least 10 years and I'm thinking of making that a reread pretty soon. And then who do you tag is number 15. So I would like to tag Happily Ever Esh. I think that she would have tons of really great recommendations. She seems to read a lot of classics. I think she's recently read North and South, and yeah, she would be great for this. I'd also like to tag Morgan from Morgan Snail Reads. She hasn't uploaded lately, but I absolutely love her videos. So I'd like to tag her. I like to tag Rose Mannering. And then I'd also like to tag Renata from Book Cravings. So that was a really fun tag. It's kind of like prompted me to pick up Emma. That is going to happen very soon, maybe after I finish the book that I'm reading right now. And I just really wanted to thank Kate for tagging me. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.